Good evening. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 repeater. I'm Dave, KD7QYN. The Western Washington Amateur Television Society net is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts that take to the airways with fast scan television. We have a repeater located up on Cougar Mountain. It's a crossband repeater. We transmit on 70 centimeters, and the output of the crossband repeater is 1.2 gigs. So pause momentarily in case anybody needs to make an announcement or a contact before the net thoroughly gets underway. Hearing none. So far we have checked in by video, WW7N James, and N7QO Jim. James had about a P4 picture, and Jim has about a 2P picture. So, anybody else like to check in? Do so now.
K9PQ.
And we have Bob, K9PQ. Again, taking check-ins for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 repeater. Well, hearing none, let's get underway. Let's go to James, WU7N.
Oh, good evening, Dave. Your picture is superb tonight. Good shot. I'm trying something different tonight. Right now, I can see the resolution may not be quite good enough. What you're looking at right now is video footage. That's a tail end of a Predator drone. I'll tell you why this is significant in a second. I'm getting a lot of interference on my screen. I don't know if you can even see that. The little dot in the center is a MiG-29. And it's just firing an air-to-air missile, and the screen going blank is them shooting down a drone that was operated by the Georgian Air Force. Dave, do you have a big splotchy white thing on the 1.2 megahertz feedback?
No, I'm getting a lot of interference. It's blinking and rolling. But what I'm seeing on the internet looks fine.
Okay, I was wondering if that was localized interference because my antennas are way too close to each other. Anyway, the reason that's significant today is there was a test where actually one unmanned vehicle shot down another unmanned vehicle. I don't know if this is a plus for humanity or a minus, but maybe we'll go to shooting down each other's robots instead of each other. I thought that might be of interest to the net tonight. I don't know how many people we have here. I guess maybe just the three of us, but I thought that would be of interest. I can try and roll that again and see if it comes to any better. The wheel that just went across the screen. I guess you can see the MiG-29 as it comes in as a full silhouette. I'm not getting a very good feedback picture, although it's a little better than last time. And there it goes, and just before impact you can see it go blank. Anyway, thought that might be of interest to people. Back to net, WU7N.
Well, thanks for sharing that with us. It's pretty interesting to see that happen. As you say, robots fighting robots. Maybe that's the next warfare we're going to encounter. Moving down from James, Jim, N7QO. He's got about a 2.5 picture on you.
N7QO. Well, there I am. Okay. I was going to say I need to come in on someone's coattails, but apparently the repeater took care of that, and here I am until my next turn. We'll see what happens. Well, that's really interesting. I'd like a little more information on that, Jim. Did they intentionally turn the MiG into a self-flying, a remote-controlled aircraft, or was that the whole intent of the thing? Just curious there. I was wondering why they would have spent all the money using a missile. I know I would not have done that, but if there was no one in the cockpit, I could see how maybe that would have been a highly effective test. Let's see. What else can I say? Just recently began raining here around the house, and 61 degrees here in Covington. And back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
Thanks for that, Jim. N7QO. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Now, let's go to Bob, K9PQ.
Well, good evening to you, Dave, and James, and Jim. Nice to hear you all on. I'm afraid I have not set up my streaming uplink yet. I think something's haywire locally here, which I've got to get straightened out. But James, your signal looks good to me as well by YouTube, and that is a really interesting video. I'd be interested to hear more myself. I assume that this was all like an exercise or a test rather, done on purpose. That this wasn't out of anger, but I'm very curious to learn more details. Jim, I'm getting you pretty well. You've had better signals certainly, but it's pretty good. And last I checked, I haven't looked in a little bit, but last I checked, it was still clear here. But I'm going to now go take a look out the window and see, because I think the weather's changing tonight. It was a beautiful day today, though, gorgeous. I was in a polo shirt all day, and I brought jacket and hat just in case, but didn't need them. Okay, back to you, Dave, K9PQ.
Thanks for that, Bob. This is Jake, KD7ZYM. Well, I reoriented my 1.2 gig antenna around. Maybe I've got to go a little further. I am getting some video coming back. Here to have a fairly clean picture going up. So it's just on the receive antenna. I might have to rack it back a little bit. But getting a little bit of rolling on 1.2 at my house here in Lake City. As for today, well, it was the pilgrimage to go to Costco today, and by gosh, I got out of there with less than $50. So I was basically after some fruit and some cereal. So anyway, that's probably the cheapest I've gotten out of Costco in many, many times I've been shopping. And weather-wise, here in Lake City and in the north end of Seattle, it's a beautiful day in the afternoon, sunshine, temperatures in the mid-60s, according to the thermometer inside my car, or the readout inside my car, as I was traversing from Lake City up to Costco in the north end of Seattle. So anyway, that's pretty much what I have here, and so let's move back up to James, WW7N.
Well, what I got up right now is the rolling radar loop from the station out towards the ocean shores. Looks like we do have some rain coming in tonight, and I guess it's supposed to be 30% chance of rain tomorrow. So I guess I'm being confusing here because the video footage I showed was from 2008, and to answer Bob's question, actually that was a very not nice message from the Russian government to the Georgian government. That was a shot fired in anger. The Georgians were not at all amused, and I think the Russians were proving a point. But the significance of that 2008 footage is the news was released today that there was a test, an air-to-air test of MQ-9, United States remotely piloted vehicle, that shot down another maneuvering object, and it was a test. Now, your federal government, of course, just has no sense of fun at all, so they did not release the footage from the test today. I hope they do at some point, because I would like to really see that. But the Georgians had no hesitation at all about releasing the footage from 2008, because they, of course, were quite mad. So anyway, that's what the footage is from. It's from 2008, but I just found it interesting that it took a decade from that to this, and there have been some other incidences. I think the Iraqis shot down an MQ-1 back in the day, too. Finally, an aircraft, the Iraqi Air Force back then, 18 years ago, could actually shoot down. So anyway, that was the story of the footage, just for clarification on that. So this is James, WW7N, and let me toss up a ID identifier, if I can get this to work. And there it is, WW7N.
WU7N, thanks for that. Again, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. Anybody else wish to join in?
Kilowatt 7 Hotel Yankee Bravo.
Well, thanks for checking in.
Yeah, I'm going to be in and out. I've got the dinner call, Dave. I just thought I'd check in and let you know I'm here. And when I get done with dinner, I'll jump back in again. K7HYB.
Okay, Gary, thanks for that. Let's go down to Jim. N7QO.
N7QO. Thank you, Dave. Well, thanks for that information, Jim. Interesting. I am seeing something on the stream as well. I have a delay, looks like maybe about 25 seconds or so, maybe. Yeah, I heard the weather's supposed to be changing as well. I had a beautiful day. I was walking around just in a short sleeve shirt all day, and it was wonderful. Not a whole lot of wind around here either. Nice day for someone to do some flying if they were able to. I was unable to do so, but interesting. Thanks for joining us, Gary. I guess we'll catch you after dinner. Bob, Bellevue Jim, and back to you, Lake City Dave, N7QO.
N7QO, let's go on to K9PQ. Bob.
Well, thanks for the clarification, James, and that makes a lot more sense, what you said. So I didn't realize that was old footage, for one thing, but it was pretty cool footage, I have to say. And so I did look outside very briefly, and it's dark enough now that it looked like it was solid overcast, but I wasn't 100% sure, but didn't see any stars. So I think shortly we'll probably be getting the wet stuff here too. Well, let's see. I don't have a lot to bring to the table tonight, I have to say. Since all the work we did on the repeater, I've been sort of concentrating on other things, and so haven't kept up with any further developments on the repeater or goings on. But it's nice to get back and see you guys and see the stream going, and just to kind of catch up on things. So let's see. I think for my goal for Saturday will be to get my own uplink going so I can get that all working again. It's just been, I just haven't set aside the time to do it, so I'll have to do that. Okay, I'll send it back to you, Dave. K9PQ.
K9PQ, Bob, glad to hear from you. Let's move on to Gary, see if he's back, K7HYB. And apparently Gary's still munching down there. This is Dave, KD7CYM in Lake City. I was surfing the web today, just in news, and there was an article on the new Boeing 777. They had a picture of it. I guess it was rolled out a couple of weeks ago or last week, and they just had some diagrams or pictures of it. Nothing in the air, but they said it's undergoing tests for the next year. So that'll be an interesting plane to see when it's fully tested out and put into service. So that's about the only thing I have to add now, so we can go back up to James, WU7M.
Okay, here, let me get the transmitter on so I can get a signal up. Okay, let's try a headshot here. Okay, well, anyway, yeah, I thought that was just kind of interesting footage, and sorry if I tossed it up there and didn't explain it adequately to start with. So anyway, the other interesting piece of equipment that fell into my hands here is a digital video recorder used for CCTV surveillance. And what happened to it, I'm pretty sure, I took it apart, and the little fan that's on the heat sink over the CPU was completely jammed up with dust, crud, and dirt. Apparently it was operating in a very dusty, dirty environment. So I touched it, and the fan completely broke off. So I think it's a goner, though, because I talked with someone who told me that the CPUs on those, even though they're really just highly specialized PCs, really, there's a big 2 terabyte hard drive in there, and then there's a board, and the cameras all connect directly to the board, as do some other little pigtails that go to other kinds of connections on the DVR. But if the fan died, I'm thinking the CPU probably just fried itself. So if anybody has any comments on that, let me know, because I'm going to go ahead and connect it to power and see if I can get anything out of it, and if so, then maybe I can replace the fan and get something working. If anybody has any ideas on where to get a CPU for a Lorex DVR, I'd be interested in hearing that. But I think it's dead. But that maybe the hard drive's not. I haven't tested that yet. So anyway, that's it for me on this round, and it's good to hear everybody tonight. Glad to have you guys check in. So let me turn it back to the net. This is James, WU7N.
WU7N. Let's go on down to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO. Well, my streaming is getting to have a greater delay as time progresses here. Right now, it's maybe more like 4 minutes. When I first turned it on, it was maybe about 15 seconds, and then it doubled, and then it looks like it doubled again and doubled again. When everyone there comes back, let me know what you're seeing with the stream. Bob, I'm not sure if you were here the first net after the television repeater got back online, but the streaming then was working just splendidly. It was the best I had seen it in several years. But reset. But since then, the last net I was able to catch, pretty much everyone said the streaming was virtually unusable. And I have to agree with that. It was pretty bad the last time I was on, and right now it's virtually unusable for me. Let's see. Someone was asking about blooming on the display from the 1.2. I'm not seeing that. Mine is okay. I have a substantial amount of snow, of course, but the pictures look okay. And I have color from both you, Dave, and you, Jim. Let's see. That's all I got. I noticed one other thing. That's what I was going to say. The repeater is not in the constant on mode, so that may affect our pictures a little bit. KD7ZYM and 7QO.
N7QO, yes, I grabbed the bar at the bottom of the picture and gave it a snap to the right, and your picture came up and it was in motion for, about 5 seconds, and then it froze up. Now I'm getting a display, video playback interrupted, please try again. So I don't know what's happening there with the streaming. So from Jim, let's go to Bob, K9PQ.
Okay, well, thanks, Dave. Well, Jim, I can give you my thoughts on this, and it's based on things I do know about how our streaming works on YouTube and how YouTube works. That the delays and the problems that make it very hard to watch and hard to keep the stream up to date are pretty much all based on the quality of the signal that YouTube gets. It's the YouTube streaming, YouTube in general, but especially the streaming is expecting two things: a very good quality signal without a lot of noise, and people watching the stream that don't care if it's delayed a few seconds, that it just doesn't matter. So we sort of stress it to the limits by injecting lots of noise and not wanting to have any delay because we want it synced up to our live radio signal here, audio radio. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The worse, the worse signal you have, the worse the streaming is going to be affected. Okay, I'll make that my turn this time. Back to you, Dave, K9PQ.
Thanks for that, Bob. Let's go to K7HYB. Not hearing from Gary. This is Dave, KD7CYM, and this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. Peter. Well, I got a text from Lee today, which was not too great. He said got up this morning and heard a creak down his spine, and his back sort of froze up for a little bit. Able to get up and move around a little bit with a walker, and then taking some Tylenol, and that seemed to help a little bit. But mentioned that he's had back problems in the past, and this generally keeps him down for up to 3 days. But he does have a walker that he's getting around with. So anyway, just relay that information on Lee N7KC. And it's just kind of nice to see a picture coming back for myself. Generally, when there's a wind up at the site, the picture is a little bit interrupted that I get here in Lake City, but seems to be holding fairly still. I did lose the internet connection. I don't know what happened there. but everything else seems to be functioning well tonight. James, nice picture in. I got Jim with a, well, not the greatest picture, but it was probably about a 2.5, almost a 3, and then I lost the images totally on that. So this is Dave, KD7BYM, and this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. So let's go up to WU7N.
Well, thank you, Dave. Your picture is superb. And I would say, yeah, Jim's is probably about a 2 tonight. What I've got thrown up now is something else, a project I just finished this morning, started yesterday. Reset. And what this is, I'm not sure you can really get the whole idea from this picture, but this is a boot that goes around a CVS joint, and if you could imagine the axle, which the way this picture is oriented, it would be from the top of the picture to the bottom of the picture. What happens on Toyota Camrys is they have a rubber boot that seals in this sort of like, it's kind of like a joint of your hip almost, and that's what enables the front-wheel drive wheels to turn left or right. And so what I did 2 years ago when the original CVS boot just disintegrated, I looked at what you have to do to replace the boot around that sort of ball socket joint, and it basically involves taking apart the entire front of the car. I really didn't like that idea. So I found out this clever man in Poland had invented this thing where the boot is split, and so you take the old one off and then you sort of wrap this one around it, and this one, I guess Toyota now, I hope they paid the guy who invented this a princely sum of money for his invention, but Toyota now sells the same thing. The one I put on yesterday was an aftermarket part, and I'll bet you this Toyota one fits a lot better. A little rubber boot, a couple snips and nips and tucks here and there, just kind of like you'd say plastic surgery, and I got it to fit. But the one that was on, I put on 2 years ago, is still holding up quite well. The only thing I never figured out, if anybody on the net knows, if you look on the right side of the picture, you'll see the metal bands that are supposed to hold the boot onto the axle. There's a small one in the center, and then a large one, and those are very specialized kind of little clamps or something, and the aftermarket one I had the same sort of little metal bands and clamps. 2 years ago I couldn't, I struggled and invented many new profane words to try and get that to work. I never could. So I finally surrendered and used a cable tie super glue and some silicone sealant, and that got the 2 places where you have to hold the boot onto the axle and the wheel to stick. But if anybody knows how you ever get those little metal bands to work, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts. In the official Toyota picture here, there is 3 tubes of what is probably super glue. I used super glue on both of mine as well, but it's interesting, the original parts, I think the one 2 years ago did come with some little tube of super glue, and the one I put on yesterday came with lots of little nuts and bolts, which I did not use. I just used the super glue. But anyway, I thought that might be of interest to the group, being kind of a mechanical thing. This is James in Bellevue, WU7N, turning it back to the net.
WU7N, thanks for that. Yes, I lost the internet connection, and what I did was rebooted the machine, shut it down, and restarted the computer. Went to the site, got the streaming on, and as soon as James brought up his picture, it was there on the computer image. So I might suggest Jim reboot your computer from scratch, restart it, then apply on that little thing to go to streaming, and it came up just right on with no delay at all. So let's go to Jim, N720.
N7QO, Thank you, Dave. Well, I'm using actually my cell phone, and I have sort of jury-rigged a little internet connection so that I can use the thing here. My cell phone actually works intermittently here at the house. Right now I'm showing 1 bar, and I'm showing no data connection through the cell phone system. But I have a pretty strong Wi-Fi connection with what I've done. So I don't know. Maybe I guess I could try restarting the thing, but I'm not entirely convinced that's going to help with this machine. But I guess it's worth a shot. So thanks for that, Dave. Let's see, Jim. I could not quite make out. The resolution is not quite good enough on my pictures. It looked like maybe those were hose clamps. If they were, those should come apart if you just keep unscrewing them. But I don't know. That's about all the help I can offer with the resolution that I have over here. Back to you, Dave, N7QO.
Yeah, N7QO. When I rebooted the computer, as soon as you came on the air, you were like right there. So I don't know, maybe my problem could be what I'm receiving on my internet connection here in Lake City is just jamming up the old YouTube. So let's go to Bob, T9PQ.
Okay, well, maybe try sacrificing a chicken and shaking it over your computer too. In my opinion, I don't think rebooting the computer had anything to do with it. I think it was coincidence, but that's, it's so hard to say for sure. And you know what, Jim, I had the same thought, but I'm confident that James knows what hose clamps are, and they're no mystery to him. So I'm very curious to know what these things look like and how they seem to operate, because they look like hose clamps to me too. With that, I'll send it back because I'm very interested to hear the answer to that. Back to you, Dave. K9PQ.
Thanks for that. Well, let's go to James for a comment on that, and then we'll call up Gary.
Okay, I don't know if this resolution will be any better or not. But if you could imagine hose clamps without that handy little screw part that tightens the clamps. There is, on my aftermarket part, there was a convenient little picture showing regular pliers trying to somehow tighten these things up, and then you're supposed to somehow bend it back and make it work. I'm convinced that there must be some sort of special plier-like tool that you have to use, or maybe two special plier-like tools that they have in the Toyota factory that puts these things on, because for the life of me I could not figure out how you were ever going to get these things on, wrapped around the little rubber part, and then it has to hold on quite tightly because this axle, of course, is spinning. So anyway, I'm trying to center the picture a little bit better here, and it doesn't seem to be wanting to cooperate. But I don't know if that resolution is any better in the lower right or not. Let me try and expand it a little bit more here. And over on the right-hand side is the little clamp. And of course, I can't get my computer to cooperate and scooch over there so you can really see it, but you can kind of get the general idea. It's just sort of some kind of little fold-back gizmo on that. I spent quite a long time on the other one. If anyone wants to experiment, I have 2 version ones from the part I put in yesterday. I'd love to see somebody show me how these work, and I'm sure I'll feel very silly when they show me the magic trick. So anyway, let me get a picture shot here and see how the camera's doing. Oh, and maybe I won't. Looks like my camera's down here for a second. It's happened to me before. I find that the device that I use to drive my transmitter sometimes interferes a little bit with things. Okay, there I am. So anyway, that's the story of the hose clamp without the convenient hose clamp part. But yeah, you're correct. Except for that convenient little twisty part on the hose clamp, they're pretty much hose clamps. This is WW7ATS back to net.
Thanks for that, James. Let's see if Gary's back from dinner yet. K7HYB.
Excellent timing, Dave. KD7ZYM on the group, K7HYB. I just stepped back into the shop. And let me get the call sign up there. There we go. And we'll see what the latency is. James, you're looking good tonight. I'm seeing you on the streaming side, and the latency isn't too bad. I don't know who's in here right now, right at the moment, but and anyway, let me turn off the audio here on the stream. There we go. Okay. Let's see how much time oh boy. Signal quality isn't terribly good tonight, pretty well chopped up. Anyway, here I am. Here's the wide shot. I don't know if I'm keying the repeater or not. Let me drop it here. Yeah, I had a busy. No, I'm not keying the repeater with that. Let's try this one here. There we go. Okay. That's the mug shot. Not enough video for me to key the repeater with the wide shot, I guess. I don't know whether it's enough light or not. But not hearing what's going on. It looks like James is into his little trying to solve these great problems of the world with his intellect there. It sounds interesting. James, I don't know what you're doing, but I get a good look at the clamps. I believe every word of it. So without knowing what's going on in the world at the moment, I will turn it back to Dave. I've had my turn, and we'll let you pass it around. K7ZYM, K7HYB.
And this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. I'm Dave, K7CYM. Anybody else who would like to join us on the net this evening? Hearing none. I was looking at James and those clamps. Oh my, I had an old Toyota that had a radiator hose that had something that looked very similar to those clamps that you had for that rubber device, and they did need a special tool to tighten them down, and kind of flipped an edge over and grabbed a loop on the other end, and that tightened right down on the hose clamp itself. But who knows, that was many, many moons ago, so I'm sure progress has gone way beyond that. Yeah, it's really great for Gary. We've got WU7N James here. We've got M7QO Jim, K9PQ Bob, 37HYB Gary, and myself, 37CYM. So let's go up to the top again to WU7N, James.
Okay, well, actually, Dave, you're probably absolutely correct on that. It was probably some sort of special hose, clamp, pliers, gizmo that those things are supposed to use. And, knowing you, somewhere in your garage, you probably still have that magic clamp, so you probably should look for it. Anyway, here's something I thought might be of interest to people. I'm just going to show this because it's hard for me to operate the microphone and talk at the same time.
We're assuming that is from the Lorex. Yeah, I don't know. Manufacturer's website, no clues on that.
Well, what you just saw is I've never actually taken one of these apart before, and I'm very grateful to the person that gave it to me. It's of interest to me because I guess I should get my picture up here if we're going to show anything else. What was of interest to me, Reset, is really these DVRs, surveillance DVRs, are just PCs. They're just specialized PCs is all they are. They've got a hard drive, as you could see in there. And the broken part, that little broken part that I did a close-up on, let me do that close-up again. That's a fan over the CPU, and I haven't powered this up yet, but I strongly suspect, when a fan burns out on a regular computer, it usually fries the CPU, but you can just pop the CPU out of a socket and then replace the CPU and the socket frequently for way more than what would cost you just to buy a brand new computer. Or sometimes you can buy a faster CPU or cooler CPU or something like that. This CPU is soldered onto the board, I'm pretty sure. So, and if it's cooked, I don't know where you would get a replacement CPU. But I haven't had a chance. I just got a little jack yesterday. A little jack yesterday from good old Vetco that will plug into the 12-volt DC. And this thing on the back says it takes up to 5 amps. It's quite a little power hog. And see if it'll boot up at all. But if it does, it will only boot up for a short period of time before I'll turn it off. And if that works, then I'll get a new CPU fan put on the top. Anyway, I just thought I'd show that to you if anybody has further thoughts on that. Always interested in ideas on the net here. My goodness, I see it's 43 minutes after the hour. This is James, WU7N. Let me turn it back to the net.
WU7N. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. On the 08 machine, I'm Dave, 87VYM. So let's move on to N7QO. Jim.
N7QO. Yeah. I don't know, Jim. It may actually be a standard part, but without a zero insertion force socket there, it may be a bit of a pain to replace that. I don't know. It may very well be a standard component, but good luck replacing that. If you can get a more professional soldering/desoldering device, that would probably help. But it'll be worth pricing the thing, like pricing the replacement component before you bother to even attempt taking the thing further apart. There's probably a number on the component somewhere. Or if there's not a standard number, there may be a house number. If you could find a manufacturer's symbol, there may be a manufacturer's part number on there too. Reset. I don't know. Good luck with that. And also, Jim, your CV joint there covering. Yeah, looking at that, listening to what everyone is saying, my best guess would be there'd be a special tool for that. But I'll say this, if you use the tie wraps and it worked, I think you fixed it. At least I'd be happy with that. Let's see. Oh yeah, my streaming has really gone south. It's too slow to be useful right now. So anyway, that's what I'm experiencing. KD7ZYM and 7QO.
In 7QO, let's go to Bob, G9PQ.
Okay, well, my streaming's keeping up decently. You know, it sometimes pauses and sometimes gets behind a little bit, and I have to get it snapped back up to current. But it does okay. James, I'm going to be a little bit of an optimist here, and that is newer processors have some basic thermal protection, so that if they start getting hot, they will shut down or slow down and eventually shut down if slowing down doesn't keep them cool enough. So because this sounds like it's basically a standard PC and typical PC hardware, there's a fair chance that the CPU is not dead. So I'm going to be optimistic and say I think I'll be interested to hear what the outcome is of trying the quick check to see if it does anything, and putting another fan on. And interestingly, the reason that sort of came to mind so quickly for me is I was just talking with my nephew about computer hardware. I was thinking of upgrading, and with the graphics processors, that's where a lot of the processing is done now. And interestingly, the artificial intelligence for self-learning. You guys may have heard of Alpha, the Google's project Alpha Zero, and the zero meaning they didn't give any information to it other than the basic rules of like chess or Go. Those are the two big games I've played, and it learned it completely on its own by just playing games. Let me break. And so Google did this sort of as a demo with their Alpha chess engine. They played 10 games against one of the best traditional chess engines out there, and did very well, and was really interesting. But then they said, okay, we have better things to do with this. And so that was the end of that. Well, somebody took the white paper, the publicly available information that Google provided on the idea behind it, let's say, and they said, okay, well, we can't spend all of this money on all of this hardware to do this, but what we can do is we can make use of people out there, just like Folding at Home and SETI at Home. So there's this engine called Leela Chess Zero, and I just recently loaded the software onto my computer to participate in helping Leela Chess get a better neural network. And sorry, I'm getting very long-winded here, but it's something I'm really fascinated by. But what I found was, even though I've played different computer games and whatnot, this Leela Chess Zero made such heavy efficiently use as much of my graphics processing power as it could, that my computer got very warm. And I talked with my nephew, who's way into this stuff much more than I am, and he was the one that told me about how they do the thermal scaling back. And so I hope that's the case with you as well, James, that the processor saved itself. Okay, back to you, Dave. K9PQ.
Thanks for that, Bob. K9PQ. Let's go to Gary, K7HYB.
KD7ZYM in the group, K7HYB. Good evening, all. It sounds like James is off on another tangent there. Trying to do something with nothing. That sounds like my shop. Oh, I can't do it. This camera is not doing it tonight, I guess. I'm on the wide shot camera, and I'll have to go to the. Well, that's not doing it very well either. I don't quite know what's going on here, but shoot. Anyway, what is this device you're trying to troubleshoot, James? And what kind of a fan do you need?
It's a industrial DVR for surveillance cameras, the 16-channel unit, and the little tiny fan I've actually located on Amazon. It goes on top of a CPU, but when it's my turn next, I'll tell you all about it.
Okay. Well, I was just going to let you know, I've got a bunch of CPU fans out here that I bought from Radio Shack when they were still selling that sort of stuff. And for some reason or another, my signal isn't strong enough tonight to keep for my cameras to keep the transmitter keyed, and probably because it's not hard keyed. I should do that. I'm still seeing Jim on the latency here on the streaming, so I must be really behind the times. I was just kind of curious what you were up to. Let me at least put my call sign up here anyhow. I don't quite understand why the signal isn't strong enough tonight to do that. But I tend to agree with Bob concerning these CPUs and stuff. It probably has to have the thermal shutdown on it, and it more than likely probably saved the CPU. I know the Square Dance colors I work with have been using computers for a couple of years to supply their music signal to the amplifiers that they use. And one of the issues they've been dealing with is they've been driving their sound output cards so hard sending their computers into thermal shutdown. Let me drop it here. So consequently, in the middle of the dance, the damn computer quits. And I can't get them to believe that they're doing it the wrong way. I guess they know more about it than I do, and I've only got 35, 40 years of experience in this stuff. It's pretty obviously based on what I read on the fake colors fake page. It's pretty obvious what's happening. They're driving their sound cards so hard that they're sending it into thermal overload and shutting their computers down. So I've convinced a few of them that they're doing it wrong. Maybe one of these days I'll get the word out. And it was a beautiful day today. Let me drop it here. It's a beautiful day here out in the woods. The wife and I had to go to Monroe for a short trip to reach her telephone, and it was crossing the Snohomish River. It was like going into It was like going into that movie called The Fog, and you couldn't see 10 feet in front of you down in the valley there. So it was kind of interesting to do that. By the time we turn around and come back home, before Carol will go over wet bowling today, it was back to, it had cleared out then. And I'm chugging away at my projects here, making progress. One of these days I'll get them, well, hopefully the line never stops. I got 2 or 3 in the pipeline now coming. I got to get a couple items out of, get a couple jobs out of the shop and back to the customers. Anyway, I still got Jim. Boy, I tell you, the latency is really good. I still got Jim's video up here on the streaming. Back to you, Dave. Not Shaffer from me. KD7ZYM, K7HYB.
K7HYB. Again, this is Dave in Lake City. Let's see if I can get an image up there. Yeah, Gary, your pictures were coming through. I've still got real bad latency coming through again on the computer, seeing what's happening with the streaming. But I'd suggest to James, once you fire the unit up, put your finger on the CPU, and you know, all of a sudden your finger gets very uncomfortably warm. You can always pull the plug. Then proceed to add a fan if it works at that point. You should be able to get a few seconds of video or something out of it before it goes into a shutdown mode. This is Dave, KD7ZYM, and so let's go through one round and we'll say goodnight. Let's go to James, WW7ATS.
Okay, thank you very much. That's why I come to this net, the good ideas. And Bob, I like your optimism. Let me show one close-up here that was interesting to me. I know we're almost out of time. Oops, I guess I won't. I got some strong interference on my 1.2, so let me say 73s. This is WU7N.
Okay, nice having you aboard. Let's go on to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO. Well, Jim, I thought you said that you had that... oh, Dave, your picture's still up. I thought you said that you tried that thing and it would only play for like 5 seconds or so. I have to agree with that, though. It may not be all that bad. It just may be heating up all that quickly, or maybe it's sensing that the fan is inoperative, and so it's shutting down. Worth playing with a little more. Try some external cooling or something. But anyway, thank you all for participating. Thank you for the pictures, and Jim, as always, thank you for making us scratch our heads for a bit here. Good job with the CV joint there, by the way. It's okay. And anyway, good night all, N7QO.